All right, you ready for the AEW? Did you watch AEW, Konnan?
Yeah.
All right. Joe.
Yes, sir.
Did you watch AEW last night, Joe?
I did.
Okay, and Konnan, did you watch AEW last night?
I just said I did.
What was the number? You got the number, Joe?
Yeah.
I like how he doesn't know you're going to ask for it.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, you know, like you would think.
Right.
I like to build the drama up.
There's no building of drama. That's an excuse for you being a lazy sap.
What do I do at the beginning of literally every review that we do?
Then he wonders why I mash on
for the
his
ratings. 830,000 down from 866.
Yeah, it figures. It was kind of. Let me tell you, this is, and not so much in their, but kind of in their defense, bro. It's just like right now, I'm more interested in playoffs than I am in wrestling. Like wrestling to me is like
games and storylines.
Like I'm sitting there, it's like a 4:45. And I'm like watching basketball. I go, oh, I forgot AEW's on tonight. And I wonder if like a lot of people like feel this the same way, where they're kind of they're immersed in the sports and are forgetting that wrestling's even on. You know, so
watch the playoffs and they've been good.
Yeah. So let's go with the start of this show. So Jungle Boy makes his entrance, and I mean, for some reason, guys can't ever even get like 1 to 2 sentences out before they're interrupted. Guevara interrupts Jack Perry before he can get a word out. Guevara tries to say something, but he's interrupted by Darby. So all three of them are in the ring, and Darby said he's known Guevara the longest, actually likes him the most. And Allen said that the perception is that Guevara is least qualified to challenge for a title shot. You got to listen to this because a lot of this verbiage is not really that interesting because, I'm preambling this segment because it was kind of like the mic work wasn't really classic here because they said a bunch of weird, right? So Allen said it's not called the Sting Appreciation Society because they see themselves as equals. Allen said that if Guevara wants to become a world champion, he needs to do it on his own because I think Chris Jericho is holding you back. Then Allen turned his focus to Perry. Allen questioned whether he goes by Jungle Boy or Jack, and Allen said that of the three pillars, Perry had to do the least work to get to AEW because he's part of the California clique. Allen admitted he was jealous of Perry initially, but then when he saw what Perry was all about, he wasn't intimidated by anything about him. Perry said there are a lot of kids in the crowd who wear Allen's face paint if they only knew what you were really like, Perry said. And Perry labeled Allen as antisocial and unfriendly and said that Allen was rude to everyone backstage he doesn't think is cool. And Perry said Allen was only in AEW because he didn't make it as a skateboarder. Guevara was shown smirking as he laid over the top turnbuckle, and Perry said there wasn't enough time to get into what a dirtbag Guevara is. Perry said he respects Guevara more than Allen or MJF, and he said that for better or worse than emphasize it's always worse. What you see is what you get with Guevara. Perry was censored when he added that Guevara is still a scumbag piece of shit. Guevara said Perry hates MJF, but he's actually just like him. Guevara said that Perry and MJF were both handpicked to be in AEW, and Guevara recalled some of the early AEW events that Perry and MJF were on, and Guevara thanked Allen for giving him hope. Guevara recalled that Allen was the first pillar to win a championship at AEW and said it showed that it's possible to break through any glass ceiling. Guevara said he watched Allen become TNT champion and told himself he would do it better. Guevara said he did so by winning the title 3 times. Guevara said Allen would jump from something high and then would jump from a higher place than Allen did. Perry issued a spoiler alert and said he would be the next AEW World Champion. He would do it for people who were there since day one. MJF makes his entrance and he spoke from the stage. And he mocked the Pittsburgh crowd for actually thinking Britt Baker is talented. MJF told the men in the ring to stop fighting over him. He said he had a conversation with his good friend Tony Khan. He said there would be a Pillars tournament, and the winner would challenge him at the championship at Double or Nothing. MJF said one of the 3 men would get a bye. A production crew member walked out with a hat. MJF pulled a piece of paper out of the hat and said that Allen would get the bye. MJF said Perry would face Guevara in the first tournament match and teased it would happen next week, but said it would happen tonight. And MJF wished him luck in beating the ever-living out of each other because you both suck. What did you think of this segment?
I want to hear what Joe thought of this since he saw the show.
I like these 4 guys going back and forth. I like Guevara's stuff where he's kind of the half shoot type comments are getting personal. Oh, you were handpicked and you're basically the same thing as MJF and all that. I'm interested in these 4. It's something different, and it's the 4 pillars. They've been saying this at the beginning, so I like seeing them interact, and I'm interested in seeing how it's going to be going forward.
Okay, well, I hate to be negative on this because I actually like all these guys personally, but this was not a home run. This was maybe a double. They got a lot of mic time and they did absolutely nothing with it. I found nothing interesting that they said.
Right. Yeah.
I found no. The longness. They found there was nothing interesting, bro.
Right.
And this was kind of odd because I thought it was going to be a 4-way, And here's another thing I didn't like. They all did versions of "I like you," but I like you the most. But I was like, I don't need to hear that 3 times. I thought it was funny when MJF said, "Good thing I don't care what you think, because you guys think Britt Baker's talented."
Right.
But here's the thing that I thought was odd, that he talked to Toni. He's not a VP. And between him and Toni, they decided to change the rules. And part of it was him picking out of a name out of a hat. And why was MJF the one supposed to do that? Are we supposed to trust him? And it looks very amateurish that some backstage guy comes out with a ball cap. He picks out the name like we're supposed to trust him. I don't know, bro. You don't need to overthink this. You don't need to go every week, how can we make this better or interesting? You were going in the right direction, but let's see what happens. I'm not that interested in this feud.
The perfect example of, let me say this, is that, bro, every week to sell this angle, they just had a couple people, they've had to stand in the ring cutting promos on each other, right? Bro, but there's no heat. Like, this segment had 0 heat. Like, they were talking about those things I like about you, and here's the things I don't like about you, and stuff. It's just like, it was just very lame. I mean, it was like there was no, people, these people like you, but they don't know what you're really like. You're rude to people in the back. I'm like, really? Like, it's like you're trying to sell a world title. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I thought this is very, like I said, they were all fine in the mic. They just didn't say anything, and there was no heat.
I just think when you see the better talkers in that company, whether it's the CM Punks or the Pages or the Jerichos, and you compare them to this, there's a big drop off.
Right. So next was the Outcasts make their entrance. Soraya tried to take a towel from Britt Baker's mother, but she didn't let it go.
Right.
So
she would have gotten a lot of heat if she would have sprayed it with that spray paint.
So Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker against Ruby Soho and Toni Storm. This was really good when Hayter and Storm were in there with each other. And basically, this is to get Britt Baker over. She performed the Panama Sunrise on Soho. Baker followed up with the stomp on Soho and then punched Storm off the apron. And Baker covered Soho, kicked out again, but then Baker played the lockjaw on Soho and got the win. So this was just to get her. She's in Pittsburgh, so she got a big. Right. They always do this. They always play to the hometown and build it, and then I don't know. It's kind of it's like they change booking plans depending on if they're in a hometown or not. So I don't know. Like how WWE, they always beat somebody in their hometown.
Beat somebody or they embarrass them.
If you're in your hometown, you never lose in AEW, ever. So I don't know. But like I said, this doesn't make me interested in anything going forward. But the work was not bad in this match at all. Like Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm, I thought were very good in there together.
I would rather have the babyface go over like AEW does, but every now and then change it up.
Right.
The crowd really loved Britt Baker. Obviously, she's a hometown girl. Let me see. Good match. And you're right. When Hayter was in with Toni Storm, that was the best part of the match. And they're both from the UK. All those UK wrestlers, most of them, they're very well trained. And I think that trio looks really good together, the heel trio.
Right.
I like their vibe.
So next we got Wardlow backstage interview by Renee Paquette. And he recalled the Cutie Marshall got involved last time he faced Hobbs. And Wardlow said he had a member of the Horsemen in his corner. So he brings out Arn. And Arn basically just cut a promo and said, Tully's a smart guy who taught Wardlow how to be the best checkers player in the AEW. And now we're going to play some chess. All right.
Good line.
Yeah. So Kenny, the Elite come out. Okay. So this was funny because they play that song, Carry On My Wayward Son, right? And while they were just standing in the ring ready to cut the promo, they let like a minute more of the song play.
Right.
Did you notice that?
I did notice that.
Right. I was like, all right, yeah.
Almost like the guy liked the song and he was like, keep it going.
Right. Yeah. And it's not like the song's like Enter Sandman, where the crowd's getting pumped. It's kind of, I don't know. So Omega said the past couple weeks have been some of the most difficult of his life. He said the Blackpool Combat Club are some of the most respected wrestlers on the planet until they attacked his friends and sent them to the hospital. Omega recalled stabbing the screwdriver into the turnbuckle pad and said he wished he had pulled it out and stabbed Moxley in the eye with it. Omega said he wanted to see the Blackpool Combat Club in the ring so they could settle things like men. Bryan Danielson appeared on the screen, okay, and let me see here. Bryan Danielson appeared on the screen and called them amateurs, and Danielson recalled Omega stating during his promo they didn't have much to say. And as Danielson spoke in the spring, guess what happened? The Blackpool Combat Club attacked him from behind. But at least they fought back really quick because it was kind of it looked stupid for them to be attacked by behind there because that was kind of like an obvious situation, right? Omega escaped through punches of Moxley, then pulled his shirt over his head and threw punches at him hockey style. Utah targeted the injured bicep of Matt. Bro, this is a brawl, but this is like a typical 2023 brawl where there's dives over the top rope and so it's I don't know. This and Omega with the hockey fight. The brawling didn't look very good in this, right? But let me tell you who does look good. Whose work stuck out during this when you were watching this, Konnan? Like during the brawl, who looked like they were like brawling
Jimmy
the best?
Utah.
Absolutely, bro. He is really improved.
Yeah.
Like he throws punches with smoke now, like you're supposed to. He looks like he's beat. He's got me. Hats off to him. Maybe he's listened to our critiques, but he by far looked like the only guy that was like throwing real in this.
Right.
You know.
You're right.
So Danielson walked out with a mic in his hand.
This didn't look like a real good beatdown where you're like, holy f***, and that pissed me off because I'm like, come on, dude.
Right, and Utah was the only guy that looked like he was beating the out of the guys, right?
Yep.
Danielson walked out with a mic in his hand and said exactly what I thought, nothing but a bunch of amateurs. And he added that he thought Omega was the exception, but he said he assumed he was wrong. So this was great. Don Callis ran out with the chair, but he stopped at the bottom of the ramp and like a coward just turned and ran back. So that's funny. So then they continued to badmouth Omega while they're beating him up, and then Callis returned and brought your boy Konnan, Takeshita. And Takeshita headed to the ring and helped the Elite Trio clear the ring, and Omega, Takeshita, and Callis ended up in the ring together. And Omega and Takeshita looked awkwardly at one another, but then Callis raised both of their arms, and then Jackson's returned to the ring, and then all the babyfaces raised their arms together. I'm like, they really think Takeshita is like this top guy here. That's fine, but I'm not. I don't know. This is.
If Don believes in Takeshita, then I believe in Takeshita because Don knows what he's doing. So,
well, what do you think of this, Konnan?
Yeah, nobody cares what you think, Joe.
Right.
Talk about. I like how the guy goes. I like how Bryan Danielson says, "Talk about amateurs. You guys have interview time, and the first thing out of your mouth is, I don't have much to say." I did pop at that.
Right.
It's just very hard for me to take Bryan Danielson as a heel. He was this baby face who wanted to go home and he was hurt and all this other, and all of a sudden he's just a heel. And kind of reminds me of like, what's this girl's name from WWE that just turned heel? The Canadian Trish. I just felt like she was a baby face trying to play a heel.
Right.
I'm not into his heel yet. Takeshita, is that it?
Yes.
Takeshita.
Mm-hmm. Takeshita, why is he with them? Was he just backstage with nothing to do and said, I'll help you guys? Or hopefully maybe next week they'll explain that Don had been scouting him and he just asked him for help or something. But I will tell you this, bro. The buildup hasn't been great, but much like Charlotte Flair and Ripley, that the buildup wasn't great to their match, but I knew their match would be great, and it was. This match will be great.
You know what? That's find it interesting. Bro, it's like I still don't, like from a storyline standpoint, it's still not very clear. Like there's been a lot of verbiage as why the Blackpool Combat Club has issues with these guys and why they've turned heel. Like what's going on here? Like they really haven't done anything other than them attacking them, and the referees say, well now they're heels because they're attacking the baby faces. It's like why? Like what's the substance of this angle?
Right.
And there really isn't one.
Yeah.
They're just
I don't know about the substance, but the only takeaway I have from it is that's basically what the TV is showing me. Oh, they're just.
Right. So I don't know. But like, why is the Bryan Danielson all of a sudden?
Right.
He really hadn't explained. It's like, I don't know. It's like he was going to go home to his kids after he lost his match, and it was like, all bloody and everything, and then he comes back and he's like this meat, but that should be the storyline.
I forgot who attacked Steve Regal.
MJF.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next we go to the TNT Championship, which to be honest, this is very, very weird. This should have been the main event on the show. if it's for a championship, right? So it's I don't know. The typical match with these two guys. They did some. So QT Marshall was out there with the funniest thing is they bring QT Marshall out, okay, and they announce Hobbs. They don't. The announcer doesn't say led to the ring by QT Marshall and Harley Cameron. It says Powerhouse Hobbs with the graphic says with QT Marshall. It doesn't mention the graphic doesn't say Harley Cameron. And after about a minute, the announcers go there's QT and Harley Cameron. And it's like she's like a complete afterthought. They don't ever focus on her. Like who is she? Why is she out there? Right. But basically, there's some ridiculous. So Cameron walked on the apron to distract Wardlow. Anderson joined on the apron, which distracted the referee. Referee looked like an imbecile here. Marshall enters the ring, and puts Wardlow down with a diamond cutter. Hobbs follows up with the spine buster. Then Marshall outside argues with the referee. Anderson, so in the ring, by the way, Anderson enters the ring and pulls out a finger gun and points it at Marshall. Marshall took a bump and backed out of the ring. Then Penta, and as he's at the ramp, Penta, El Zero Miedo, and Alex Abrahantes is there. He turned around and Penta super kicks Marshall. And in the ring, Wardlow powerbombed Hobbs 3 times and pinned him. And that was just and there's Wardlow winning the thing. What did you think of that finishing sequence, Konnan?
I don't know. That was kind of weird. I just think that giving the title to what's this guy Hobbs for a month and a half or whatever it was, does him no favors.
Yeah, he didn't beat anybody either.
You have a bunch of jobbers, and you have another guy like Hobbs, and look how hot this guy was. You mean Wardlow, and he isn't even half as hot as he used to be. And you could probably make the same mistake with Hobbs if you continue. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there. And here's another thing. You keep referring to this girl, Cameron. Okay, who is
Harley Cameron.
All right, who is she?
She was in the QT TV thing. I don't know.
All right, who is she?
I have no idea.
Why aren't the announcers telling us? Why isn't somebody, or why isn't there vignette telling us who she is?
I'm sure it's explained in other shows that we're supposed to be watching.
So probably what's happening in AEW, maybe we're, the last guys to figure it out, is that, how we digest our news, where if you read something, you cross-reference it and you look it up and all that.
Right.
Maybe that's what you're supposed to do here. Okay, here's Harley Cameron. You're supposed to go to a wiki page and maybe watch Being the Lead and maybe watch I don't know what you're supposed to find, what you're supposed to read or do to find out who the people are when the announcers could be telling you in real time who they are.
Yeah. All right.
Would you like to know where she came from?
Yeah, where did she come from? I do.
Bare Knuckle. She was a ring girl for Bare Knuckle Championship fighting or whatever, and then she of course trains with QT. She also did a music video with Scarlett and Shotzi.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
She's the third girl.
Right. Oh, yeah. Right. She's good friends with Scarlett. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I've actually seen that video. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah, it came out Halloween last year.
All right. So backstage, by the way, after this match, Christian Cage and Luchasaurus make their entrance, and they had a stare down. Now, I posted on Twitter, with the way Luchasaurus looks now, with his outfit and stuff, his name should not be Luchasaurus. He's got to get. It should be a more intimidating, menacing type name, because Luchasaurus still sounds like a wrestler dressed in a costume that's a mark for Mexican wrestling. That's what it sounds like. Would you agree with that, Tony?
Well, that's good for their fan base.
Yeah, but he's a heel now.
Because they're all cosplay nerd, right.
Yeah. Bro, what about the crowd shots? Do you notice the crowd shots when they show the crowd here at these shows?
Yeah.
It's brutal. Sammy Guevara was about to be interviewed by Paquette when MJF interrupted him. MJF told Guevara he's always liked him and said he had something that would be good for both of them. MJF said he was offering Guevara a guaranteed spot in the main event of Double or Nothing, and all you have to do is lay down. Guevara said he would beat Perry Allen and then MJF become the new AEW World Champion, and MJF said the odds of Guevara beating 3 pillars were slim to none. MJF said he could offer him the main event spot in a blank check if he just agreed to lay down. MJF handed Guevara a blank check and then turned around and let him write his number down. MJF acted like it was pretty pricey, then asked if they had a deal. MJF offered a handshake, but Guevara said friends hug and then hugged MJF. What do you think of this?
I don't know what to think. You're telling a guy on the air, lay down for me, I'll give you money. He says yes on the air, and now he's hugging him, and then he hugged him after the match. I thought that was all very, very
corny. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. It's a lame angle. All right, so Jay White wrestles Kommander, and if I had told you, like, if you watched this match was 10 minutes long. After 9 minutes of this match, okay, if I told you that this was that Kommander was the big star from New Japan Pro Wrestling and Jay White was just like a guy like that, would you have believed me based on the amount of offense that was given in this match to Kommander?
Yeah, well, maybe
he took the whole match.
No, maybe they said give him the whole match and then beat him. I don't know.
Why would you do that to a guy that's supposed to be a big star? There's a very weird layout of this match. This is like, bro, Kommander got all of his shit in.
Right.
So then they showed Spears on the floor. And he was holding up the 10 signs and everything and all that. Then he held up a 5 sign at ringside when Jay White finally won. Then after, I guess that got Juice Robinson mad, because after the match, Juice Robinson pulled Spears over the guardrail and they joined and they attacked Spears until Ricky Starks ran out for some reason. He's friends with Sean. Was he friends with Sean Spears previously or stuff? So I don't know.
I don't think
Starks
so.
ducked White, Spears Robinson. White Robinson left the ring.
Spears was with MJF and that group and everything. You know,
right?
The Pinnacle,
right? And then he was with MJF.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't he come back?
He was with Wardlow too.
He should be back in his spot with him and MJF. It's like he's the MJF's like Randy Orton. I thought he was good in that role.
Yeah.
You know, well, what do you think, Konnan, about everything I just talked about here?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I did not like this match. Was not a good showcase for Jay White at all. And then Kommander does too much. His whole shtick is just like I can walk the ropes and jump off the ropes. It's like he just saved one spot for that, but it's like he's just doing it the whole match.
I told him you only need to do 2, and he did like 4. So
right.
I don't know why he did it like that. But anyways, like a lot of people go, Konnan says that, Jay White isn't this big star.
Well, that's right. Went viral.
It's all over. It's on every site. Yeah.
Okay. So by looking at him at this match, does he look like a superstar? I'm going to ask you, Disco.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to ask you, Joe.
No, not so far.
Yeah. Right.
And I understand that he's a big deal in Japan, and I saw him in Impact. Yeah, he's a good wrestler. He's got a good look, but he's a superstar in Japan, maybe. But same thing in Vikingo, where people were going, "Who the f- is Vikingo?" before he debuted. Well, he's a big star in Mexico, but you don't know him yet in the United States, but you will.
Right. Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, to me, it hasn't come off as a big superstar. That's
he barely beat this kid. Like if you call a spade, he did. He kicked out at 2.5 like a million times in this match.
Plus, they brought him in and they signed him, but he's actually appeared on TV a couple of times before, so it kind of lessened the specialness of it anyway. It's Jay White. Oh, it's Jay White. Oh, it's Jay White again. His debut wasn't really his debut.
All right, so AEW Tag Team Champions FTR and Cash Wheeler. FTR were waiting to be interviewed by Paquette.
Did you see Disco, since we've discussed it before, that his podcast with Matt Kuhn is indeed done off the air?
Yeah, because he said his daughter was reading a lot of the comments, and it wasn't worth it.
Too much negativity.
Right. Go figure. So Cash Wheeler interviewed by Paquette, but then she showed them footage of Mark Briscoe was being attacked by the Trustbusters. Now, who are the Trustbusters?
I have no idea.
Look that up, Joe. I don't even know who they say because I forgot this segment because after FTR ran a check on him, and he was being tended to a trainer while Lethal Jarrett and Sanjay and Satnam Singh stood by.
Oh, it's Arya Daivari, Slim J, Sonny Kiss.
Oh my God, that group.
And VSK, former member Parker Boudreaux, I guess.
Oh my God. Okay, the Trustbusters. So Briscoe was ready to fight, but the trainer talked him down. Then FTR and Lethal's crew both wanted to step up. Then Briscoe suggested that FTR join forces with Lethal and Jarrett, and the foreman agreed to do it for Briscoe. Aren't they? Are Jarrett and them still heels?
Yeah.
But what was their connection with Briscoe?
Well, they both said I guess. I don't know.
From Ring of Honor, Jay Lethal maybe and Briscoe or friends?
Yeah, Jay Lethal, Briscoe for sure. But not Jeff Jarrett.
Okay.
And Sanjay probably for sure.
Chris Jericho comes out to Judas, then Cole makes his entrance. Cole said he studied and idolized Jericho and said his catchphrase was inspired by Jericho, and Cole recalled saying in high school he wanted to be like Jericho. Cole said it was pretty damn cool that he was in the ring with Jericho. It's funny how that went. Cole said he has a ton of respect for Jericho, who offered Cole a handshake. Cole shook Jericho's hand, and Jericho said he was happy that Cole said those things about him. He wanted to say from the bottom of his heart he has zero respect for Cole. Jericho said it was unacceptable that Cole came out and shook Keith Lee's hand after his match last week. And Jericho said Cole was lucky that he didn't slap him in the face. Cole said he had a feeling that Jericho was going to act like this and said that he and the people of Pittsburgh think Jericho has been acting like a... Cole asked if the real Jericho is the guy who gets help from JS. JS refused to go to the demo god, and Cole said he thinks the real Jericho is a stupid idiot. Jericho suggested that Cole leave his ring. Cole asked what he was going to do about it. Jericho shoved him. Then Cole shoved Jericho down and put the boots to him. Then Daniel Garcia ran out and helped Jericho to double team Cole. Britt Baker ran out and pulled Jericho off Cole and was slapping him. And the Outcasts suddenly appeared ringside. They were under the ring, so I hate angles like this where they organically comes to a thing that was actually a spot, but it didn't make sense that they would have known that Britt Baker was good. Yeah, I don't know. This didn't make a lot of sense to me. So then Jericho handed the kendo stick. I had a kendo stick and handed it to Saraya. And I'm going to read this sentence, and it doesn't really do it justice. It said, handed the kendo stick to Saraya, who beat Baker with it while Cole pleaded with them to stop. Now, number one, she wasn't beating her in any fashion with that kendo stick that made it look like it hurt significantly.
She looked like she was taking care of her.
Looked like he was easing up on her, and this was very it ruined what could have been good heat. She could have really laid it into her and beat the piss out of her with that kendo stick, and she absolutely
really gotten heat, right? And just when she hit the girl with the belt shot in the match, that also didn't look good.
Terrible. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, but I'm Powell's POV. I'm going to disagree with you here, Jason. Jason says it's a strong segment until the kendo stick beatdown. I guess that is true. Kendo sticks have been overused in pro wrestling, so the tactics didn't feel as sadistic as they wanted it to be. I agree
but that wasn't the reason. It wasn't the overuse of kendo stick. It wasn't the good use of it. Should have whipped her with it.
Right.
Even if she hit her in the legs or, because she's got tights on. Oh, no, she doesn't. But even if she hit her in the legs, because it does sting, but your adrenaline's pumping, you're trying to get heat.
Yeah. So next is a video.
I did like this segment in general. It was better than what Jericho had been doing before.
Right, but the kendo stick beatdown was not. Right. And I didn't like them coming from under the ring. This show,
I didn't like that either.
This was laid out weird. They should just ran down.
Come through the crowd.
Right. So Max Caster was censored in his rap for some reason. So the Max Bowens and Daddy Ass against Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager. They've been building this thing up for 3 or 4 weeks, and this was just only a 6-minute match where the baby faces went over. And now here's Pal's POV. The stipulation of this match was that the baby faces would have to join JS if they lost, but they didn't get any mic work, and no one bothered to make it seem important. Did you know that was the stipulation of this match?
No, I forgot that it was, but I remembered it.
Yeah. All right. Okay, here's some matches for next week. You ready? You excited to hear about this?
Yes.
Oh no. So Rampage is on Saturday. Here's some of the matches for Rampage. Rampage.
Right.
Vikingo against Dralistico for the AAA Mega Championship.
That'll be good.
FTR, Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett against Josh Woods, Tony Nese, Ari Daivari, and Slim J. You excited about that?
Some of those guys, I don't know who they are. No, I'm not.
The Hardys speak. Okay. Kiera Hogan versus Julia Hart.
No.
Jade Cargill speaks.
Right.
And then for some reason, John Moxley against Christopher Daniels. That's on Rampage.
That'll be good.
The match will be good, but why is that match happening?
Right. So Jungle Boy against Sammy Guevara. Basically, they were going at it. MJF snuck out and hit Perry with the ring, laid him out, and the referee counted Perry out. So after the match, what you call it? MJF entered the ring and placed Guevara.
What's in that ring that would knock you out?
It's a ring.
Okay.
I mean, it's a hard diamond
gold ring with diamonds or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if he punched him in the head, he should have gotten color. That's right. So after the match, MJF entered the ring and placed Guevara on his shoulders and walked around the ring for a moment. They took turns bowing to one another while Allen was shown shaking his head in disgust in the rafters. And Guevara put MJF's scarf on as the heels continued to gloat to close the show. This is a very weird angle because this is just there is no heat for any of this stuff, in my opinion. What do you think is going in?
I don't know. I just don't like the way that it was a 4-way, and I was into a 4-way maybe. I was more into Darby versus MJF. And that might end up what it is. I don't like all the extra overbooking of this.
Yeah. So that's been our AEW review.
So when is the championship match supposed to happen?
Which championship?
This
All In, right?
When is that?
Double or nothing.
It's May. Yeah, that was May. Like 3 weeks. I think it's May.
May 28th.
Oh, it's a whole month. They got a
Memorial Day weekend. Yeah.
all right.
I don't know. There's just a couple feuds that aren't registering with me yet or resonating with me yet. You know.
Right.
Maybe they need to put a little bit more heat, and this is one of them.
It's a good points well taken. So that's been our AEW review.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the show. Boom.